right. Good evening, guys. There you go. All right. People, wake up and listen. It's time for you to understand each and every lesson. We had many teachers, philosophers, and leaders. Now you have Jadeo to make you aware of the false things that you've been shown by those illiterate people that we've grown to love. Now visualize that I am a professional. Illiterate people always try to criticize because they don't want the truth to be known about our history and not their own. Now I don't want to lecture, but it must be told that we're schooling with knowledge that's from above. So take off your coats, take a seat for a while, sit back, relax, take notes with a smile. You might learn something that's worth your while. Now this is an introductory to wisdom. God the Creator is down with us. We teach an Assalamu Alaikum, peace be to all. Treat each and every brother with all your love. But if you disrespect us, we'll disrespect you. Want to fight us? We'll want to fight you. But want to love us? And we'll want to love you. So let's just have peace, 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 peace. Okay, the name of the program we got here is Honesty, Open-Mindedness, and Willingness. And I came down and I said, I'm going to honestly, open-mindedly, and willingly lie to you. But the good part about it is at the age of 3, I used to live in this thing called the Speakeasy. Okay, it was out in New Jersey. It's a place where you sell after-hour liquor. And all day long, women and men is in there doing whatever they want to do. And one of my sisters stole some guy's wine out of the freezer. I'm about 3 years old, and that's how I got this on my lip. He starts throwing chairs and hits me in my mouth. He starts throwing knives, and knives are stuck in front of me. You know, so from that young age, I really didn't trust people. You know, my sisters handled it though. They did what they had to do, so he never came back there again. Jumping from there to the age of 6, I was told not to go out the yard, and I climbed over the barbed wire fence and ended up on the railroad track. And I ended up stepping on the railroad tie and didn't want to tell my mother. So about, I guess it was a week later, I couldn't walk. And when I got to the hospital, you know, this was like 1969. You know, some of y'all wasn't born. There was a lot of prejudice and racism going on back then. And the doctors didn't want to work on me. They just wanted to cut my leg off. They took us from my mother after they locked her up, you know, because she wouldn't, every time they would put a cast on my leg, she'd make them cut it off because she thought that they had cut my leg off, you know, and did what they wanted to do without her permission. So they ended up locking her up, you know, she got electric shock treatments and all that stuff. And I ended up going into foster care. But, you know, I could say that I had the best of both worlds. I had good stepmothers, good foster mothers, and good real mothers. So from that age, I started liking fires because my foster father, he was a minister, and he would take us to church every Sunday. So I learned about the story of Moses with the burning bush, and that's where I thought God was. And that's how I thought I could get to God and God would help me. I started setting fires. So I didn't set fires like houses and stuff. I would set fires to bushes because the burning bush and, you know. And then it got to the point where the kids in the neighborhood, because of my leg, would tease me. So I had to become crazy. And my foster father, he made wine and all that stuff. So you know, fast forward to, I say about 14, I got kicked out of all of the foster care system, and I ended up on my own, going to live with some of my sisters and on the street. I started drinking at the age of, well, back up, at the age of 3, I was drinking, you know, because they would give you beers and stuff at the speakeasy. At the age of 6, being that I was hurt, they gave you whiskey as a medicine. It's called hot toddy back then. And if you had a cold, they would rub your chest with mentholated rub. And, you know, to me, the whiskey was my security blanket. The mentholated rub turned out to become cocaine for me, you know, because it opened you up, and I loved it. So whenever I was hurt, I would, you know, grab whiskey. But my foster father made wine that was really strong with the balloon and fermentation. So me and my foster brother would always sneak into that. And by the time I was 14, I was full-blown alcoholic. I would be throwing up. You know, I couldn't do nothing. I didn't know what to drink, what not to drink, so I would drink everything. I didn't know I was an alcoholic. I just thought I couldn't handle my liquor at the time, you know. And then we moved from, I ended up getting back with my grandmother. And we ended up moving to New York City. And she drank vodka, you know, snuff and all that stuff. So I would always sneak, like when she was looking out the window, I'd sneak and get her vodka and I'd drink that. And, you know, that, from there I just kept drinking. So by the time I turned around 17, a friend asked me, well, he wasn't a friend. The crew asked me to smoke weed, or else I couldn't hang out. And I'm not going to smoke it because you don't tell me what to do. I do it if I want to do it. And a guy named Bullet, he was like, nah, he ain't got to do it, you know. So I was 16 then. But when I turned 17, being Bullet took up for me, I said, I'm going to smoke with you on my 17th birthday. So I ended up smoking weed then. I don't know, let's see. We got, I went to 5 elementary schools in different states, 3 junior high schools in different states, and about 6 high schools in different states. But I did graduate, you know, only because I even went to GED. And I went back to high school because I didn't like it. I was always thrown out of school because of fighting. And, let's see, 17, it got really wild because I don't know if y'all know, like Harlem, New York, people just hung out on the roofs. I mean, they didn't respect cops. They didn't do any of that type stuff. So I ended up getting into a crew. Well, I didn't get in the crew, but one of the guys went to school with me, and his brother was selling some stuff, and he wanted me to be on the block with him. I ended up starting to do cocaine at around 18, no, I started doing speed around 18, 19. And I really liked it. And he wanted me to get on the block with him, because back then it was 2 men to a key. I turned them down because I knew how I liked drugs, because I like speed, you know. I didn't even know what a kilo or coke was. But he ended up getting murdered because he messed up the package. So who would have been there with him, you know? But I'm glad that God, you know, showed me the way not to do that. So I ended up back in New Jersey, and my real mother would pay my rent so I could stay in school. There I started really doing speed, weed, selling marijuana, and then I got into cocaine. I didn't get addicted to cocaine until I was about 21 though, because it was just like a fun drug. Back then the drugs was really, they were, you could have like a 20 or 50 for like 4 days. It wasn't like today where it just comes and goes. And that went on for a while. You know, I'm not going to get into the crime stories. Yes, I went to prison, lost all my civil rights. Actually, since I've been here, I got my civil rights back. I'm waiting to go before the clemency board to get my gun rights back. But I'm not going into all of that type of stuff. Because if you look at me, you see you, so everything that you did, I probably done. So the drugs, the alcohol, and everything else, you know, that was my experience. Within my strength, I always liked production. So I worked for a company called Big Dog Films. And I was trying to stay clean, but in the film and music industry, you can't, you know. So I got back into big drugs. And I'm not going to say all the artists that I hung out with, but I hung out with a lot of artists. And I got into college and sold drugs in college. And for one of the people, they actually have a movie out about him now, you know. And I didn't even have to carry my own gun. Somebody else would carry it for me. You know, I was like God's child. I was like a special child. Like, you know, my family had it going on, kind of. If you look on Tubi today, you'll see my name on at least 5 or 6 movies that's out there right now as the producer. I couldn't stay clean. My thing was hurting people to make them feel less than me. So who do we hurt? Women, you know, and that was my thing. I used to say, get on your knees and let me pray for you. Let me get you wet all over, like the ministers would say, you know. Now, before I came in here, I got so bad, I would have you bring your girlfriend over to the house, and I would have you tell your girlfriend to have sex with me. You know, stupid, but that's how bad it got at that point, where it just wasn't fun getting the girl. I had to do something that was different from everybody else. I moved from that town I was in, and I went to a town in New York. And that place was like the devil, you know. And I mean, I wouldn't even let the girls touch me. As soon as you go up to them, they would be on their knees already, you know, and it was like, nah, you know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, just get up. But they would get mad at me. And that's when I learned I would be given the offering, but I wouldn't take the sacrifice. And I didn't belong out there anymore because I felt like somebody was going to either give me some fentanyl or give me something to kill me, but not in the way of like coming right up to me. I feel like they would have snuck to do it, but they didn't want me out there because I was, you know, the gifts of the Spirit, you know. I was loving. I wasn't being the same person that I was supposed to be in the street. So I ended up getting the strength, and I walked away from everything. I came down here, and a brother can attest to that, with a pair of Crocs and some jeans and a shirt. So all the stuff I got now acquired within this last month, basically. I need to stay sober because the streets are telling me to stay sober. The streets don't even want me back no more. Not for a bad thing, but just because of the way that I act when I'm not, you know, like you see me today. So that's my strength and my hope, which I feel like once we all graduate, we just met each other. Half of us ain't probably never going to see each other again, you know. But I'm hoping to have a good sober support group that I can work with. You know, they told me get a sponsor. I got a sponsor. This isn't my first time through this. I've helped build rehabs. I've helped, you know, work in mental health. I've done a lot of stuff that I haven't even told my credentials. But I went and got a sponsor, and I've been calling them every day. Well, I've been calling them every day. You know what I'm saying? And all I asked them to do is just walk me through the steps. So this time around, I would like to be able to do the program like it's a school, and like I'm taking classes and working that way, because that's the way that I will understand it. Um, in my mind, like I think all y'all have heard me say, 2 years from now, I see myself with a bag of cocaine. I didn't say cocaine, but a bag of white stuff and alcohol on the thing, and have my apartment. So it's like, in my mind, my disease is saying, as soon as you make it, I'm coming to destroy you. So I have to stay vigilant. I have to have a good support group, because alcohol is my security blanket. And like, if somebody hurts me right now and I was out there, I got to get a drink to calm down. Here I talk to a therapist. So prayerfully, I'll learn to talk to a support group. I'll be able to call somebody. I've never called nobody like this. Like, me and my sponsor, we text every day. That was their order for me, to text me every day. So I just been texting every day. And then, they're trying to get to meet up with me. Other than that, I'm glad to be here. And this is one of the best places. Like, I hear people complain about the bathroom. We only got one bathroom. They complain because they only get $50 on their card. Like, I remember not having a bathroom. You know what I'm saying? I remember going someplace, not proud of it, but eating out the garbage, because I got hungry. One time I walked down the street and I was looking at, it was a mess of food. And I was like, I wanted to eat it so bad, but, pride stopped me. But I was that low where I was willing to eat it. I wasn't always up top, but my God, or my high power, as we say around here, would never let me be that bad off. I would take myself down. I was at the point of sometimes where I felt like the dealer should have killed me. You know what I'm saying? But God didn't allow that to happen. So I know that there's a high power, and my brother is Jesus. So, and there's power in that name. You don't have to use that one as yours or whatever, but you'll hear me say Jesus a lot, And one time he told me, stop hating on them. If people want to call me God, let them, So I just let him be who he is. He allows me to be who I am. I'm glad to be here with you, brothers. I drank, I drugged, I had to go to rehab. Thank you.